Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to today's coffee chat. Well, we know that spring is officially here. I hope you can hear me okay because there are some gardeners doing some weed whacking outside. So hopefully that's not too distracting for you because what I have on my mind today that I wanted to share with you is something that has been really getting a food that's been really getting a lot of a bad rap lately, and that is fruit. Yeah, fruit's been getting a really bad rap lately. I can't tell you how many clients are coming to me and they're asking me, like, oh, they say to me things like, I really, I eat too much fruit. I know it's really bad for me. Or they are wondering, like, oh, so what fruit should I eat? Because aren't some too high in sugar? So here, I think, is a perfect example of the negative side of the internet. Because yeah, I'm not a Luddite at all. I love the internet. I mean, hey, it's how I get to connect with you here, have you be here in my kitchen, having a cup of coffee with me and sharing this chit chat about nutrition. But what I find is that nowadays we are just surrounded everywhere. There is so much information, data, and yet you need to have knowledge and wisdom to understand what to do with that data. Like, when does it apply? When does it not apply? What is the context within which I should consider this? And so that's what I'm finding is missing. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. The context, how to use this information about fruit and how to apply it to your life. Fruit, amazing things in fruit. That's so good for us. All sorts of vitamins, antioxidants, anti-inflammatory power, fiber, and hey, as I talked about in a previous video regarding vegetables, I'm sure there is so much in fruit that we haven't even yet discovered is good for us. I've been doing nutrition for so long, like decades now, that I've seen the scientific community discover new things that are good for us. And so I think that, yeah, I'm sure there's more that's good for us in fruit that we haven't discovered yet. If you want to know more about vegetables, I'll include a link to that video in the description box down below. But fruit, yeah, so tons of good stuff in fruit. But fruit does naturally have sugar in it as well. So true. The things that people are hearing about fruit, like, oh, isn't there sugar in there? Yes, there is, absolutely. Here's the problem. Dichotomous thinking, black or white, right or wrong thinking, does not apply to fruit. So it's not that fruit is good or fruit is bad. That type of thinking just doesn't work when it comes to fruit. Fruit is good for us in balance. And so we want to be creating that balance so that we can benefit from all the good stuff that's in fruit, but we're not going overboard on the sugar that is in there. So yeah, and who you are depends on, that's how much fruit you can have. So most kids can handle way more fruit, more sugar than we adults can. And so when we recommend, half of their plate being vegetables or fruit, kids can have much more heavy reliance on the fruit side of that. Less vegetables, more fruit is okay for most kids, which is great news because a lot of kids aren't as crazy about vegetables. So being heavier, a lot of that half plate being fruit, okay for kids. They're growing, they're active, their bodies can handle more of the natural sugars that are in the fruit. However, the further we are from being kids, so in other words, the older we get, particularly if you have the genetic predisposition towards type 2 diabetes, towards gaining weight, then you want to be shifting your emphasis more and more towards the vegetables and less on the fruit. For if you do have that genetic predisposition towards type 2 diabetes or to gaining weight, then I recommend for most people about 2 to 3 servings of fruit in the day. and not having all of that fruit in one sitting, no more than one serving at one sitting. So it's not like, oh, I'm only having 3 pieces of fruit in the day, but it's all at once. I don't recommend that as much because yeah, that can be too much sugar for your body to handle. What is a serving? A serving is about the size of your fist. That's a good way to eyeball a serving. So, you know, a typical size orange, typical size apple. Yeah, pretty good way to eyeball. That's a serving. That's a serving. Bananas are a little bit trickier here. I had some bananas in the house. They're gonna have to be eaten pretty quick, or maybe we'll be heading into the freezer for use as some banana ice cream or banana bread or something like that soon. But bananas, the bananas we get here in Canada are quite big. If you travel to other countries or you live in other country, and you'll know that bananas, lots of them are much smaller. So a banana, a serving of a banana is half of one of these big guys is a serving of fruit. So yeah, most of us adults, as I said, particularly as we're getting older, if we have that genetic predisposition, I recommend 2 or 3 servings of fruit in the day, and not all at once. So that's a good balance. Regarding the question of, you know, which fruit should you have? I recommend variety. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm all about the variety, and yes, that applies to fruit as well. I'm a big fan of variety because each one is different with the vitamins and those antioxidants and all those things we haven't yet discovered. They're all different. And when we've created the healthy balance for the fruit, then yeah, those little differences of, you know, one having a little bit more sugar than the other really doesn't matter. Like, yes, there's a difference, but it's not significant difference. What we call a clinical significance, right? Like a significant impact in life. Yeah. Because let me tell you, when I'm working with people, yeah, the reason why you're having blood sugar problems or the reason why you've gained some weight is not because you chose mangoes instead of blueberries for your 3 servings a day. It's the pop, it's the 3 glasses of wine every night, it's the whole pizzas, it's the chips, it's that sort of thing that is the problem, not the minutia of the different amount of sugar within one type of fruit instead of another one. So when you eat fruit in the balance, enjoying variety is fantastic. So yeah, don't worry about which fruits have a little bit more sugar than the other. Eating it in balance means you get all the good stuff in there. Juice is a whole different question, and really that's a whole nother coffee chat. So we'll save that one for a future coffee chat. And hey, don't miss it. Catch every coffee chat by clicking the subscribe button below and the little notification bell so that each week you can come on back and join me in my kitchen and share a little chit chat over a cup of coffee about food and nutrition. If you liked today's video, let me know. Click that little thumbs up sign. I want you to have a great week. Have a great week this week, and I will see you back here next Thursday morning.